Welcome, everyone, to this special meeting of the Human Rights Commission. It is Tuesday, January 17th at 4 o'clock. I'm calling this meeting to order. Let's start with roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure everyone made it into the room. Very good. Commissioner Vignolo,
Present.
Commissioner Cleary,
Present.
Commissioner Flood,
Present.
Commissioner Ramaran,
Present.
Vice Chair Shepherd. Don't see Vice Chair yet. Chair Loyola,
Here.
Student Representative Lily Hanner. I do not see Lily available.
Do we have quorum?
Yes, we have quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the agenda. Do we have any discussion on this?
Yes, Chair, I would like to make a request to amend the order of the agenda. I unfortunately have another commitment at 6 o'clock. So my request is to move items 8D as in Delta and 8F as in Frank further up in the agenda, perhaps after the public comments or wherever the chair would allow it to be, so that I can share information about those two specific items before my departure.
Why don't we move those, and this is what I would like to do, if we can move them at the top of items for discussion and action right after the approval of minutes. Would that work? Would that work,
Yep,
Commissioner Vignolo?
that's fine. I think we'll get to item 8
Okay,
relatively quickly. Thank you.
so let's move them right after the approval of the minutes.
Okay.
Any other? Okay, can we take a vote to accept the agenda with that particular request from Commissioner Vignolo changing those items? Let's take a vote, please. Raise your hand. Or say yay.
Mr. Chair, why don't I read off the names for the vote? Commissioner Vignolo,
Yes, I agree.
Commissioner Cleary,
Aye.
Commissioner Flood,
Aye, yes.
Commissioner Ramaran,
Aye.
Chair Loyola.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the agenda has been accepted with those changes. We're moving now on to public comments. Do we have public comments, Jay?
We do have Mr. Rostovsky to make public comments, and Mr. Dean and Mr. Evans to make public comments.
Okay. So do we start with Mr. Terry Dean? Mr. Terry Dean, if you can unmute yourself, you can address the commission. You have 3 minutes for your public testimony. We can't hear you, Mr. Dean. I'm sorry, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Mute. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm actually Norm King. My wife's Terry Dean, and I can't figure out how to change your name off this screen. So again, I'm Norm King. And for the record, I was city manager in Palm Springs during the 1980s. The Human Rights Commission is accused of plagiarism in regard to the Palm Springs City Hall Monument Report, which the HRC adopted in May 2021. How did you get here? Prior to the September 21 meeting, the city council meeting, which the council considered but did not approve the commission's report, Friends of Frank Bogart submitted Friends of Frank Bogart rebuttal to the commission's report. In that document, we pointed out that much of the report was plagiarized. We also cited more than 100 instances of false statements contained in the HRC report. We asked that the falsehoods be corrected. Our warnings about excessive plagiarism were ignored. The false statements in the report were not corrected. These falsehoods continue to be cited by the media. As noted above, the HRC report is not an official city document. The commission is now asked to correct the plagiarized statements in the report. I would request that you also correct the false statements in your report, which are documented in the Friends of Frank rebuttal, as I mentioned. A key issue is who wrote the HRC report. The city staff did not, nor did the report pass through the normal process of staff authorship, review, or approval. As I have previously pointed out, I believe the author was now Council Member Ron DeHart. This conclusion is clearly supported by several emails we obtained from the city under the Freedom of Information Act. He has never admitted this, saying that it was, quote, compiled by members of the Human Rights Commission. I asked Mr. DeHart in September 22 who wrote the report. He answered saying that he no longer was chair of the commission and would have to check with the present chair before he could answer. If the report was written by members of the commission, this would imply that a meeting or meetings were held. There is no such record of such meetings. If there had been such meeting, it would have to be a notice meeting, and therefore, if it not noticed, it would have been a violation of the Brown Act. I do not believe such a meeting or meetings were held. All of this comes back to the authorship. It takes an author to plagiarize. Mr. DeHart should make the plagiarism apology and the corrections to the HRC report, not the commission. Thank you for your consideration of these comments and my request that the commission also correct the HRC report to eliminate the unfactual statements contained therein, which are well documented in the Friends of Frank rebuttal to the HRC report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. King, for your testimony. Anyone want to raise their hand if they have public comments? Mr. Doug Evans.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. I'm also affiliated with Friends of Frank Bogert, and we vigorously tried to get the Human Rights Commission and the City Council to acknowledge the amount of plagiarism and misinformation in your report. I share Norm's concerns regarding how the report was prepared. We've done public records requests. We've gotten documentation about people that were involved in it. And Mr. Chairman, since the current City Council member, Ron DeHart, asked you to answer who prepared the report, we would encourage you to talk about who prepared the report. I too work for the city. I worked for the city for 26 years in the planning department. I worked with numerous commissions and every report in 26 years that I worked for the city had the authors listed and the contributors listed. That's only fair in government. That's what transparency is. And what's occurred is the worst type of process where documents are plagiarized, the plagiarism is pointed out, it's ignored, and then the original author, Dr. Cray, has to come back over a year later and ask you to fix a problem. We ask you to fix the multitude of problems. We also ask you, and in my transmittal to you, as well as David Christian's lengthy letter and attachments, wanted to point out, and hopefully you read the letters from the tribal members, the family of Chairman Milanovic, the family of Chairman Siva. We knew those people. They've asked you to take the references of their father out of your report because it's not accurate the way it's portrayed. Richard Milanovic and Pete Siva were lifelong friends of Frank Bogert. Your report accuses Frank Bogert of stealing from Pete Siva. He did not steal from Pete Siva. If you had ever met Pete, if you took a nickel from Pete, maybe even a penny from Pete, he would never talk to you again. He was a very strong individual. He and Frank were friends forever. We ask you, now that the statue has been removed, to fix the record. Or if you don't want to fix the entire record in your report on the monument, just rescind it. Apologize to all the people that you've offended with it, the tribal members, the Crays, as well as the Bogert family, because the report as it stands right now is not factual and it needs to be corrected. And we're asking you to do something that should have happened before you even looked at it. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I hope you have read all of the information. If you have not read David Christian's letter, please continue this item to your next meeting until you've had a chance to read all of it, so that you can all fulfill the goals and mission statement and policies of the Human Rights Commission. And that is, you do things correctly and transparently. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Evans, for your testimony. Jacob.
Hello, Jacob Rostovsky, he, him, his. I'm the CEO or the founder and executive director of QueerWorks. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for having me here and members of the commission. I am here to represent my organization, QueerWorks. You may have heard of us. We are launching a universal basic income pilot for individuals in Palm Springs, with a heavy emphasis on LGBTQ individuals. But zooming out, QueerWorks focuses on providing free mental health treatment, housing navigation, and we recently launched a rapid rehousing domestic violence program out here in Palm Springs and countywide. We are currently serving 377 clients throughout Riverside County, and our work is primarily focused on the trans and non-binary population, though we aim to continuously serve throughout the county in general. And as you know, this city is very visibly white and cisgender male, and we know that that's not true of the population that lives here, right? So what I'm saying is the visible representation. And so I'm here to ask today, I'm asked to ask the commission to consider working with QueerWorks on a various number of projects. And I'm looking to create a partnership so that we can better serve a very large population in Palm Springs, but a very invisible and ignored population in Palm Springs. And that's the trans and non-binary community, with an emphasis on those who are not white, right? Those who are BIPOC. We have a lot of various projects on the horizon. Most notably, the Trans Visibility Month of Visibility is coming up in March, and we would love to talk about possibly working together on some sort of media campaign or hosting a little event. And we would be honored to be utilized as a resource for the commission around trans and non-binary individuals in the city. And then finally, I'd love to throw out the idea of potentially collaborating on a citywide commission-backed Transgender Day of Remembrance in November. I know that there's an unofficial event that happens every year, but I would love to find a way to have this city, sponsored, or even just commission sponsored, so that we can further reach and inform the entire city about this incredibly important event, which honors all the trans and non-binary lives lost to violence within that year. So once again, my name is Jacob. Thank you very much for your time. And I believe Jay has my email for record as well. So if anyone would like to reach out to me, you know where to find me.
Jacob, thank you very, very much, Mr. Rostovsky, for the public testimony. We really appreciate it. Do we have any other comments from public? Okay, moving on to the agenda, which my comments. I want to thank everyone who is participating in today's meeting. Obviously, we're going to have a really healthy discussion on the issue at hand with the reports, and we have so many other updates. I'd like to reserve comments for later, and I will move on to the next item in the agenda, which is the approval of minutes from our December 12th, 2022. Do we have a motion?
I move to accept the minutes of December 12, 2022 without
Do I have a
amendment.
second?
I second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Can we take a vote?
Yes, Mr. Chair, why don't I read off the names again? Commissioner Vignolo,
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary,
Yes.
Commissioner Flood,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramadan,
Aye.
Chair Loyola,
Aye.
motion approved.
Thank you, Jay. Moving on to items for discussion and action, we agree to amend the agenda. Commissioner Vignolo, you can start leading the reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think the first item we moved up was discussing potential partnerships with other organizations. And the only reason I wanted to chime in on this particular agenda item was to piggyback off of what you just heard from the CEO and founder of QueerWorks, Jacob Rostovsky. I've been have had some dealings with Jacob in the past, and I would encourage my fellow council members to certainly, I think it would be worth looking at forming a partnership with QueerWorks. I think the urgency is particularly important given that we don't have a lot of time between now and March. And I know that Jacob had some ideas for events that we might be able to collaborate with him and his organization in March. So, you know, with the commission's approval, I'd be willing to, you know, work in the next couple of weeks to try to get more clarity around how we can partner with QueerWorks, particularly for anything coming up in March. I know he mentioned in his public comments looking at other opportunities later in the year, in particular in November with the Transgender Remembrance Day. But my focus is really on what we can do in the short term to support QueerWorks in March. So I wanted to make that comment early in case I had to leave. The other item was 8F, planning topics and activities for next year.
Before we move to that item, I just
Sure.
wanted to mention that I think it's definitely very worth for the commission to engage with Mr. Rostovsky and his organization. I think that it really clearly is within the realm of the commission to engage with these types of organizations and look at potential collaboration and events. I remember receiving Commissioner Vignolo and reviewing briefly a document that was talking about a National Day of Reading, a celebration of stories supporting transgender and non-binary youth. There's a proposal, and I believe the proposed date was February the 16th, 2023. Is that still the case?
Well, that was my next topic.
Yeah.
Good segue, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay.
So that was what I was going to speak to in regards to 8F.
Mhm.
That is as you mentioned, it was a proposal that I put together. I had sent it to the Youth Affairs Subcommittee that I'm a member of initially, but we didn't have a formal meeting to discuss that draft proposal. So I wanted to bring it up to the full commission today, because as you mentioned, Thursday, February 16 is the Welcoming Schools National Day of Reading. It's a celebration of stories supporting transgender and non-binary youth. It's a national day. It's coordinated by the Welcoming Schools Foundation. I have some material from that program. It's part of the Human Rights Campaign. And my proposal was for the Human Rights Commission to host a reading, preferably at the Palm Springs Public Library, where myself or the chair or other members of the commission might invite members of the public to a reading of one of a number of books that the Human Rights Campaign's Welcoming Schools program has identified for this particular day. Now, I've reached out on my own to the Library and Public Services Manager at the Palm Springs Public Library. Julie Warren, I haven't been able to actually speak with her. I'm going to try to get a hold of her. I think she may be out of town, but hopefully she'll be back this week to see if that's a possibility of using the library to host this program. And I did check the catalog at the library, and there are two of the five books that are recommended are in the Palm Springs catalog, one of which I believe I have now placed a hold on. So, there's other things we could do to promote the event. I know it's a short turnaround. I mean, February 16th is only a few weeks away. But if the commission supports this proposal, I'm certainly willing to do the logistical work with the library. And will facilitate the reading. I may assist in mission in promoting the event. But I would also work, I think, with the communications director, Julie. Is it Julie? Right? Is that her name? Amy. Sorry, Amy.
Amy Blaisdell, yeah.
Amy. I would reach out to her to help promote the event because it would be I would like it to be an official Human Rights Commission sponsored event on February 16. Happy to answer any questions. I think all commissioners received the draft proposal that I've sent to Jay. Again, there's other material we can use from the Human Rights Campaign to help facilitate this reading. And
Yep.
I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo. Comments from other commissioners? So, Commissioner Vignolo, I fully support this. I think that this is exactly the type of activities that the commission needs to seek out, identify, and be a part of. So I certainly, I will be very, very happy to assist you in any way possible. And if you want to lead this, and if it's doable, I know February 16 is just around the corner. So anything you can do to make it happen, please, you have my full support, as we did, and you and I worked together to, make that event last year happen. So I think this is right within the parameters of the commission, and I applaud you for coming up with this proposal. So I'll be happy to support you with this.
Thank you. So what I'll do is I'll try to flesh out some of the specifics, probably work with Jay and with Amy once I have a confirmation of a venue, because I think it would be better to have it as an in-person reading, although you can do it as a virtual reading. But my hope is we could do an in-person reading at the library on February 16. So mark your calendars.
Would it be possible to consider also like a hybrid event when, part of it is also provided to public who can make it to the library via Zoom?
Don't see why not, but I'd have to defer to Jay because we would need the technology available to facilitate that from, say, the library, media room or something. I don't know.
That's something I would ask if that's possible. Please check on that. That would be great.
Okay. Well, I'll hopefully get more information. Hopefully I can get Julie Warren, get access to her this week and see if it's a possibility. Because I really don't have a backup physical space except maybe Jay's office, but which I guess we could do it from, somewhere in the city staff offices or city council chambers. I don't know, but I think it would be nice if we could use the public library.
That's awesome. I think that's right. That's right on. Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo.
Thank you for accommodating me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Is to stay on this part of the discussion, potential partnership with other organizations. I wanted to bring everyone up to speed. I have reached out to the Palm Springs Community Partnership on Homelessness. And this is a group that is growing pretty fast and getting a lot of support online and on Facebook particularly. They have a lot of events. They go out into the community, they do activities like cleanup activities. And I certainly would like to see how the commission can get inserted into this and collaborate with them, because this is such an important issue for us here in Palm Springs. I have joined their Facebook group. And so I'm kind of reading the threads of communication and people really interacting very, very actively in what's happening. So that's one of the things that I wanted to report on potential collaboration with other organizations. I also wanted to bring everyone up to speed on me reaching out to Brothers of the Desert. I have been in communication with Andre Carden, who is the CEO of Brothers of the Desert. This is a group that caters to gay Black men and the community that supports them. And they do things like mentorship. They do a lot of training for those who are starting a business. They do philanthropy. It's a really great organization, and the CEO is very, very active in the community. So this is another organization that I certainly would love for us to get close to and see how we, the Human Rights Commission, can amplify what they're doing for the Black gay community. As we know, we're working together with the Arts Commission, and this is an ongoing collaboration. And we know that the Arts Commission is also having conversations internally about how we can work together in the next installation of public art, which would definitely have some kind of human rights angle. So these are the types of conversations that we're having at the moment, and there's more to be reported on that by Gary Armstrong, who is the vice chair of that commission. And I just want to encourage everyone else to look at community events where we could, as commissioners, get involved and participate. Is any other commissioner, including our vice chair, want to discuss anything else with potential partnerships with other organizations? Okay, so having none, we're going to move on to the next item in the agenda, which is the reports. Starting with one, we don't have anything from the Executive Report Standing Committee. I don't know if our vice chair has something, but I don't think we have anything to report. Item A2, which is the Palm Springs Police Department LGBT Outreach Liaison, happened to be me. The only thing I want to report to you is that this particular working group is going back to start our meetings this first month of the year, and that a meeting has been scheduled for January 26th at 4 p.m. We're going to the police station, and that's where this group meets to talk about issues that have been identified by the police department that have implications for the LGBT community. So we'll see what we can bring from that meeting on January 26th. Commissioner Viñolo, can you give us an update on the master calendar, please? If any?
I don't have anything really on the master calendar, because the only thing I would have mentioned was the Palm Springs Black History Awards Gala, but that's
in the agenda. It's coming up.
Another item coming up on the agenda. So I don't really have anything. And I have one other item on the master calendar, but that's probably better covered when I talk about 1PS or the 1PS organization. So I'll have to defer. Don't have anything at this time.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Viñolo. Main Street, the only update I have on Main Street is that the first meeting of the year took place already, and the members of that particular working group are coming back with a lot of enthusiasm, which is fantastic. Nothing to report from the Human Rights Commission angle, but excited to see that the members of that working group are back and really very enthusiastic about their collaboration and what could be ahead for that working group in this coming year. Commissioner Viñolo, do we have anything on 1PS? You said no?
No, I do have a couple of things that came out of the Organized Neighborhoods of Palm Springs meeting, which I attended on January 10, 2023. The highlights of the meeting that are relevant to, I believe, the Human Rights Commission. Council member Rhonda Hart introduced himself to 1PS. He'd mentioned that his thoughts were he would focus on workforce and affordable housing, homelessness issues, crime, and how to work closely with the Palm Springs Police Department. There were lots of other items that came up in questions and answers, but I think that was the most significant takeaway. In February, 1PS hopes to have a program to help educate neighborhoods about issues in the Black community as part of Black History Month. So I'm hoping to get additional information about that program as it evolves. 1PS has set up several new select committees, including a governmental affairs subcommittee. I asked about which 1PS directors were going to be on that committee because it may have some relevance to our commission, but I haven't heard back from the manager of neighborhoods yet on that. They talked about a Blue Zones study being funded out of general funds. It would cost about $85,000. For those of you not familiar with Blue Zones, it's a wellness initiative that the city is trying to integrate to help residents of Palm Springs eat well, move more, and stress less. So more information about that should be forthcoming. FYI, Lieutenant Mike Villegas from the Palm Springs Police Department is the new Palm Springs Police Department liaison to 1PS. And lastly, let's see, April 15th will be Art in the Park in the Dark at Demuth Park. 1PS asked for more details. And as soon as those become available, I'll be sure to transmit those to Jay so the commission will be at least know what that event entails. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the 1PS or Organized Neighborhoods of Palm Springs 14th Annual Picnic and Community Expo. It will be held in Ruth Hardy Park on March 25th, 2023. From 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a very well-attended community-wide event, and I think it would behoove the Human Rights Commission to consider having a table at the event. I'm certainly willing to, again, facilitate that. I have the sponsor and exhibitor registration form ready to go once the commission indicates its approval. There is no cost to us as a city commission. So the only real need is for commissioners to perhaps be at the booth or the table during the event. Again, I'm willing to be there for the entire time, but it would be nice to give other commissioners an opportunity to participate in the event. They provide the table and 2 chairs, but no canopy. And I don't know if Jay or any other of the commissioners would have one of those 10 by 10 canopies you can erect over a table in case it's a very sunny, hot day. We don't pass out. So I would just throw that out as an appeal to my fellow commissioners if they have such a canopy that they would loan to the Human Rights Commission for that event. So happy to answer any questions about it. If the commission feels this is a worthy endeavor, again, I'm happy to forward the exhibitor registration form over to the event organizers. I was going to list Jay as the contact person, but myself as the contact person for the day of the event.
Excellent, Commissioner Vignolo. Any comments from other commissioners on this? Okay, that's a great event. I've been willing to go. I wanted to go this past year and I was unable to do so, but I heard such great things about that particular community event. And I think you're absolutely right. I think the commission needs to be a part of it and participate. So with regard to logistics and things of that nature, if you could take the lead again for the registration, glad to hear that there's no fee for us as commission. But also, you know, if anyone could talk to friends, or if you do have the canopy, definitely help with that. Student Representative Lee Henner. Hi, Lily.
Hi. Just I'm like multitasking. I'm doing homework and listening. Just what was the name of the event again?
What is
Oh,
the name of the event?
it's the 14th annual picnic and community expo.
Okay.
It's the Organized Neighborhoods of Palm Springs is the lead sponsor.
Okay.
And it's again on March 25th, Saturday, I believe, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Ruth Hardy Park. So
Okay.
I'll be reaching out to, I don't want to be the only person sitting at the table.
I'm completely
So,
down to go just when we
Okay.
get further information on it.
Okay, I'll make sure everyone's aware. Thank you.
And I'll definitely put it in my calendar for sure. I think this is a great event. So it's a great community event. Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo. Desert Highland Gateway States Community Association Liaison Report. Commissioner Flood, do you have anything to report?
Nothing to report on that at all.
Vice Chair, nothing?
They have resumed having their meetings in person, so I'm hoping to go to the next one. Maybe we could go together, Commissioner Flood, if you're interested in that. I don't know, I just feel they're much more productive than Zoom meetings, so I would like to start going again.
I'll try to make that with you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Vice Chair Shepherd. Commissioner Flood, any reports on veteran issues?
Nothing to report on that also at this time.
Thank you. With regards to youth education affairs, Lily, do we have anything to report additional to what's already been presented?
Not that I know of. Unless Commissioner Vignolo has been like doing stuff and like doing the most when I'm not looking, but otherwise, no.
Well, I'd like to have a meeting with Lily and Donna. I think I had sent the email with the draft proposal. I don't know if something happened or maybe it went to your bulk mail, bulk trash or what, but
I have so many emails in the
I will
past like
send
few
another,
months.
I'll send another email out to you tomorrow with a request for you to check your calendars to see if we can have a short organizational meeting among the three of us, perhaps this week or early next week. If I don't get a response from you within 24 hours, I will, with your permission, call you or track you down.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at my emails right now. I have like 15 emails just from Jay in the past month. So they get lost. And then on top of that, I have all of my emails from school.
Okay,
But-
well, look for my email tomorrow. I'll make sure I put in the subject line that it's from me. It will regarding the subcommittee
Right.
and more specifically regarding the National Day Reading event. 'Cause I
Okay.
would like your thoughts and hopefully your assistance with that. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, so moving on the agenda. Anything to report on mediation? Commissioner Vignolo, no? Okay. Vice Chair Shepherd and Commissioner Ramadan, do we have anything to report on Equity and Social Justice Committee? Okay. Thank you for that. So we're moving on to item 8B, which is a very important item in this particular agenda. And this item is obviously for this commission to have a discussion on the consideration by the request of Dr. Ryan Cray that this particular commission, this current commission, does a recognition of her work, her ideas, her concepts, her research that was used to inform the report entitled Palm Springs City Hall Monument Report. The request is very clear. They wanted basically this commission to create an errata sheet or an addendum that can be appended to that particular document. On the one hand, we have someone's work on research and dissertation being used to inform this report, and obviously if there were any errors or omissions, that is an issue that we definitely need to talk about. On the other hand, you heard the public testimony. We received a lot of testimony also in writing, and the public is very, very concerned about this particular report. It doesn't go unnoticed on me that many of us sitting in this current commission joined the commission after this was released, and that we have this very, very intense issue of doing right by everyone. And with that, I really would like to open up for discussion, because the point in the agenda is the consideration of Dr. Ryan Cray's request to create such an errata sheet and append it to the report. Commissioner Vignolo.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'd like to first start by stating that for the record, that I joined the Human Rights Commission after the report was written, submitted to the City Council, and adopted. I would like to state for the record that, as the chair noted, the item under discussion is very limited. It's a discussion of the request by Dr. Cray for clarification, for attribution, for recognition of her work as a source material for that report, and not a discussion about the merits of the report or the validity of the information in the report. So I took a very strict view, and I read Dr. Cray's letter from November 2022 and the additional follow-up documentation that was provided by our staff liaison. I read the report, the actual report that was submitted and accepted by the City Council. I read the material that Dr. Cray provided. I tried to do a cross analysis of the information. I did not have access to the Chicago Manual of Style, because you have to, pay a fee for that. But I drew on my own recollection of how source material is cited or how I was taught to cite source material when I was in undergraduate and graduate school.
Mhm.
And I have come to the conclusion that unless a commissioner has a different view or can point to something that I didn't see, that the source material cited was in fact cited in the report, that I don't feel that the Human Rights Commission should agree to call Dr. Cray's doctoral dissertation, quote, groundbreaking academic research and analysis. I think that's something that was mentioned in the letter. I don't think that it necessarily consistently provided original and corroborating evidence to support many of the assertions and historical facts referenced in the City Hall Monument Report published in 2021. I have some concerns that in responding to Dr. Cray by issuing an errata or an apology letter or modification of what is already cited in the report would in some way elevate her work by having a governmental body essentially endorsing her paper, even though we as commissioners do not have the academic expertise to reach the same conclusion asserted in her letter of November 2022, that her work versus any other work on this topic is groundbreaking. So I caution the commission that, you know, if we are discussing how to best respond to her November 30th, 2022 email or from Stephen Cray to the chair, that we'd be very careful, that I would encourage us to perhaps reach out or hear from the Pacific Historical Review editors, as well as Dr. Cray's former advisor, Dr. Ruiz, to have them offer us some guidance before we issue any kind of apology or amend the report or add an erratum to the final report. I believe the authors of the original report, whoever they may have been, adequately cited the sources of the material used in the report. Mosaic plagiarism can be avoided not only by using quotation marks, but by proper attribution. And I believe that standard was met in my reading of the report. My final comment to the commission would be if we perhaps need more clarification on proper attribution, we invite Amy Blaisdell, who's the communications director for the city of Palm Springs, and who I believe would have a lot of knowledge on how to properly attribute source material, to have a look at the assertions made by Stephen Cray to the chair in his email of November 30th. I know in the past when I was working on the bullying symposium and I had drafted some media press releases and I was citing statistics and source material, Amy was very adamant about knowing where that source material came from and that it was properly attributed. So I know she has the background and the knowledge to weigh in on whether what was in that final report was correctly attributed to the source material that Dr. Cray used in her dissertation. So my final, to wrap it up, I just think, again, we're discussing how to respond to Dr. Cray's email. And my position for the record would be that we either defer or if we feel we need to respond, that we say we are soliciting additional expert opinion, including from the communications director. But at this time, I would not advocate the issuance of an apology, any modification to the report as it currently exists, or any further communication with Dr. Krantz till we get additional information on the merits of the assertions made in that email of November 30th. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo. Student Representative Lily Henner.
No, okay. I haven't looked at everything we were sent today. Because again, school. But I will say that besides the idea of citation, and since I have not learned how to properly cite stuff yet, I joined the commission like I think a month after that was drafted. I was like, it was right as things were ending. But beyond the idea of Dr. Cray's work and the citation in that document, I do know to an extent that we were given information, or we were given letters and public comments today responding to the idea that there is misinformation in those documents, and that there is information that we sourced, or that we put, like what we stated were facts of some sort, or ideas that we put in that document as a commission, whether it's current people now or people who have already since left the commission since then, have the original authors of that document put information that wasn't correct, or are viewed as not correct.
We lost your audio, Lily. You got
Alright.
muted.
I guess I'm just not allowed to talk. No, I'm kidding. But we were given that information of what was and wasn't correctly, or what was not correctly stated in that document. So while I understand that if we decide that the citations are correct, I do think that this document still obviously needs to be re-looked at, whether it's in a public meeting with the entire commission, or a special meeting with most of the commission, along with properly looking at, because I assume there was a few things stating that were sent to us stating exactly what was in that document that was not correct. And in doing so, that needs to be edited or fact checked, or both. Since obviously, like I think Commissioner Vignola was saying, that a lot of us that are in the commission right now were not in the commission when this was written, and were not a part of the approval of this. And to my knowledge, with the way that, just for the record, of how I've seen it, is that anytime that there is a public draft of a document, it is one person is tasked to write it, or two people are tasked to write it, not many, like two or one or two people are tasked to write it, and they come back with that document that has been emailed to us, and then we discuss it in another public, a month later in a public meeting. So I'm not sure how that was handled, seeing as I wasn't here, or if,
Mhm.
I'm not sure. But since we can't really confirm what happened, and no one's been able to confirm who specifically wrote it, then obviously that just means that we should be, or at least I think we should be taking, everything into consideration, and just to kind of check all the corners, because as upsetting as it is, it does kind of seem like we need to clean up someone else's mess. But because it is on the name of the commission, it is something that we have to probably prioritize heavily. But that's just my thoughts on it.
Thank you for your thoughts. Very, very valuable, and a great insight and opinion. Comments from other commissioners, please. Commissioner Cleary, do you have any comments?
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that both commissioners that have spoken have given a well reasoned view of what this commission should do going forward. One commissioner wants to limit the scope of a review to the technical objections that were forwarded. And I think that's kind of put this as far behind us as possible. And the other commissioner views this as a priority, where this commission's reputation is, going to rise or fall based on what actions are taken. So it just depends upon what the priority of the majority of the commissioners want to do. I think that in academia, if there were plagiarism, the individual would get an F, and they would, that's what would happen. If a newspaper or magazines printed things that were incorrect, they would print a retraction, and they would say, "Hey, look, we got it wrong." And this committee has been hearing from objections since I joined the commission, which was after the report was done, but it's been hearing objections from the public for a very long time. And there's obviously persistent, dedicated members of the public who still would like an answer. And I think that the longer we ignore them and the longer we continue on without answering these objections, be them, technical or overall, the whole report, then it's just going to, not be to our benefit. I think that we should prioritize it and make it a goal to right any wrongs that could have been done. It's very difficult to for the commission to adopt a blame for authorship of something, or to call a city employee in and say, tell us, kind of adopt authorship of this report when it doesn't seem to be correct. I mean, when in a plagiarism, the individual, if it was plagiarism, it would be the individual who's responsible for it who would have to take responsibility. So, I don't want to go back into the mud and deal with it. It's going to be unpleasant, but I think that the responsible thing to do is to address each objection, each point made, and address it either by indicating that for example, the article that was referred to was properly cited, maybe not technically according to the blue book or whatever book is being used, but it wasn't hidden, that there was an attempt to correctly credit the authors with their ideas, and then go through any objections. Then there are many, and address if we're going to issue a retraction or issue an additional statement as to what each objection is.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Cleary, for those comments. Commissioner Ramaran, do you have any thoughts?
No.
Thank you. Vice Chair Shepherd, do you have any thoughts to share?
In general, I tend to agree with Commissioner Vignola. I'm far from an expert on matters of publishing and crediting authorship and so on and so forth, but I think that the point that was trying to be made of the article was made, and I know that my position on the issue has not changed. I don't understand how much impact these objections that have been raised by the public will change the report. If we do in fact find errors to make an errata sheet on, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I think the overall report at the time it was written, and as far as I'm concerned now, still states a period in Palm Springs history that must be dealt with. And I want to do it accurately, and I want to do it fairly. But I also don't want to spend a lot of time backtracking if it's not, unless it's gonna have some fundamental change on the outcome or the meaning of the report. Now, the Human Rights Commission, what we're looking at is the human rights, real or perceived violations on this issue.
Mhm.
And we are just making an attempt to square things as we see them.
Mhm.
And that's why we are the commissioners. I respect all of people's opinions on the matter. But this was our report and this was what was published by us to deal with the situation. And it's my understanding too, that the city's legal department is going to be looking at this, giving us some guidance. So no matter, I think, what any of us individual commissioners have to say, the response to the request is probably going to be either authored by our legal team or directed to us to author by our legal team.
It's a very, very important point, Donna, that you make. Absolutely. You know, this is obviously very, very critical. And I agree with all of you. The commission really needs to respond, but we really need to get the city involved in this particular response. Commissioner Vignolo, do you have additional comments, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, well, since the vice chair mentioned it, just a point of clarification, and Jay may be best able to answer this. Has any of the communications, particularly the November 30th, 2022 email, been shared with the city attorney, to your knowledge? And do you have any guidance from Jeff Ballinger?
Yes, the city attorney was consulted with on how to proceed with the request from the Crays. And he recommended that the commission take an action on how to proceed. Now, I don't know if he's specifically looked at the request from the Crays, but he is aware of the issue. And he does know that I may be returning to him for consultation.
Mhm. Thank you, Jay, and thank you, Commissioner Vignolo. So, you know, this very clearly is above our pay grade. And I think that to do right is the right thing to do. And I'm encouraging the commission to really take this as a very important issue that we must address. And for the record, any of us who were not part of this particular drafting of that report or part of that process, regardless, this is an issue that's on the table for this commission to address. Jay, I would like to recommend to the commission that we engage with the city attorney, that we cycle back with the city attorney, because this is clearly an issue that is above our pay grade. And we really tried, and we need to make it right for everyone involved. And if the issue lands on us as a commission rescinding that document, so be it. But it's something that, you know, certainly by taking a vote here right now on whether or not we need to create an errata sheet, the public testimony is very, very strong. We've got a lot of people feeling very strongly about writing and asserting certain things that we ourselves don't have purview to, and obviously can't do that. So I would like to recommend to this commission that Jay goes back to the city attorney, and having heard this conversation, which is now part of public record, that the city attorney looks at it more carefully, and that we get guidance from the city attorney on how to move forward. Commissioner Vignolo?
I would concur, Chair, with your, I guess, motion, if it's a motion. But I would amend it to, again, I believe it's important to engage Amy, the Clydesdale, the communications director, particularly in evaluating Dr. Cray's very technical assertions in her email that items were not properly cited, that there was no use of quotation marks or indentations, that we didn't follow the manual form of citation. Again, I disagree with those assertions, but again, I'm not an expert. I think Amy could shed further light on the validity and the merit of those specific requests that were in the original email that we are looking to respond to. That's kind of a separate issue from the bigger picture of, do we need to go back and edit the report or clarify the report or retract the report? Again, I'm focusing on the specific claims in the email from Dr. Cray. And I think that that would be best done with Amy's expertise to help us better understand if in fact we made a mistake, or if in fact the authors of the report did not follow the proper rules of citation, and those can be technically corrected. But again, I didn't see that when I did a side-by-side comparison. But I would like to hear from Amy particularly on that, or at least get access to the manual, the Chicago style of citation manual Dr. Cray is using in her request for corrections as stated in the November 30th, 2022 email.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo. Commissioner Flood. You're muted. You're muted, Commissioner Flood.
I just want to say that everything's been said is very important, but we also have to remember this is a very emotional subject. I don't want the commission to be held up as they being responsible for the fact that the statute is gone. There might be some elements out there who would use us as a whipping boy. I don't think all the structural things, the different mechanics of the writing, which there are technical things that have to be adhered to, but I do not think should not change the fabric or the meaning, the essence of the report that has been issued. This subject before the report was taken up many, I can't remember exactly when, but by the city council. Certain senior members of the city council before I was a member of the commission had said that the statute was in the wrong place. So let's just keep that in mind, that this is a very emotional issue, and we as a commission should take some work on it. I mean, should take action. And I agree that maybe the communications director and the city attorney should be involved. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Flood. This is definitely a very, very emotional issue. And there's so many people obviously who want to be heard, and we as a commission really we must respond, and we must do something about it. Jay, as our city liaison, what would be the proper procedure to engage Amy Blaisdell on doing a cross-reference on Dr. Cray's request? And also, and by that same manner, how will we engage with the city attorney on this issue?
It's as simple as reaching out and letting them know that the Human Rights Commission would like assistance with a particular issue, tapping into their expertise. You know, Amy's a one-person operation, but as Commissioner Vignolo points out, she's a wealth of knowledge, and she may hopefully be able to find time to provide a little bit of guidance here. So
And as that, I as a chair can reach out to Amy and CC you with this particular request following this meeting.
No, it would be better to go as a discussion and request from the commission through me, and then I will communicate with Amy and the city attorney.
Okay, excellent. So that makes it clear. Do we need to take a vote on this particular motion?
Well, we have an item on the agenda, Commissioner. So if the recommendation is to do additional research and get additional input, that is fine. But that's taking no action on the request on the agenda, I believe, so.
So the vote that we must take now is specifically to the item on the agenda, which is the consideration of Dr. Cray's request. Is that
Well,
correct?
That's for the item on the agenda. You can introduce a motion to have staff research this further with the individuals available in City Hall that can provide their expertise.
Okay, so that's exactly what I like to do, Jay. I like to introduce a motion to reach out to city officials to help us move this further with further research, and certainly with the Director of Communications reviewing this and our city attorney.
Very good.
And that's my motion. Do I have a second?
Well, could we amend the motion to all further require or request the staff liaison report back to the full Human Rights Commission at its next regular meeting in February? Would that be sufficient time, Jay, for you to reach out to the city attorney and communications director and report back to the full commission at a public regular meeting?
I believe that's sufficient time, but the next public regular meeting is the community awards.
Oh, that's right.
So we're looking at March as the next time. And that should definitely give enough time.
Yeah, that should.
So,
Should.
so then the motion is to ask our staff liaison, Jay Barada, to reach out to the communications director and our city attorney for their intervention and support to move this item forward. And that would be the motion so that we can reconvene in our meeting in March to hear about that. So that's the motion. Do I have a second from commissioners?
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Let's take
I
a
just
vote.
want to, before we take the final vote, I just want to make sure it's clear that, and I don't believe, Jay, that you're required to respond to Stephen and Ryan Cray in their last communication to you via email. Is that correct? That they're not going to be waiting for a formal response from you to that last email communication?
I would let them know the decision of the commission at this point that additional information is being requested.
Okay, as long as we're clear on that response. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's take a vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Vignola,
Yes, I'm in favor.
Commissioner Fury,
I,
Commissioner Flood,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramaran,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shepherd,
Aye.
Chair Leola.
Aye.
Okay. That's approved.
Thank you. Item C, discuss participation in Black History Awards Gala scheduled for February 4, 2023. We received a very nice letter of invitation to join this particular event. And the commission is going to receive, has been nominated to receive, obviously, recognition. And that's wonderful. And we want to be a part of it. The Black History Awards Gala group has provided us with one ticket for one of us to participate. Vice Chair Shepherd raised her hand first, so she's the one who gets that one ticket. I personally am planning to attend the event, and I will be happy to purchase my ticket to the event. I believe tickets are $75 each. And I want to invite everyone and encourage everyone in the commission who would like to join us to please go ahead and purchase your ticket and join the event. I think this is a very important event that the commission should definitely take part of. We've been recognized, and this is the kind of community outreach that we should be doing anyway. So Vice Chair Shepherd, you have something coming?
I think this is pretty interesting that we have been selected by the Palm Springs Black History Committee to receive this recognition. You know, they noted some of the past recipients in the letter that they sent out to us, and most of them were, you know, politicians and public figures and that kind of thing. I don't see any other time a group or a body has been recognized like this, and I think it is, I don't want to assume, but I have a feeling that the Black History Committee in Palm Springs is greatly appreciative of the work that we've done, both on mentioning reparations on Section 14 and also the statute removal. I can pay for my own ticket. I just said that I wanted to go. If anybody is not able to go because they're not getting a free ticket, I'm happy to give mine up. I am going to go with my spouse and possibly my daughter, and I would love to have as many as you all there with me, because I think this is, they've reached out in a way for a group that has felt pretty left out for a long time. And I think it's important that we make a response to that.
Yes, I agree with you. Lily, you have a comment?
How much are the tickets for the?
$75.
Oh,
It's a
Wow.
dinner. It's a dinner gala event.
yeah.
So
And I thought my school dances were expensive.
so maybe
I
we
mean, they're
can
like
get-
$50. In my defense, the school dance is $50, but still.
So Donna, maybe we can give that ticket to Lily.
Well, if you will commit to going, I'll be happy to provide a ticket for you.
What day is it again?
The 4th of February
At the Hilton at 5 o'clock, I believe.
at the Hilton at 5 o'clock. Yes.
Of February. I don't think I can commit to doing that. I'd love to, but
Well, if something changes, you let me know and I'll make
Mhm.
sure you have a ticket, and anybody else that needs that ticket, I'm happy to share.
Okay, great.
I'm-
Commissioner Ramaran.
I'm definitely planning to go. So we should have a nice Human Rights Commission table, right?
Awesome.
Good.
Commissioner Flood.
Just a comment, I went last year and it was quite an event. They have a nice band and there's dancing and there's nice food. It was a good gathering from last year. So
You
I
gonna go?
recommend it.
Are you gonna go?
I'm going this year. I plan to buy 2 tickets. Yes.
Good, wonderful, wonderful.
Great. I'm glad to, we're all gonna go. Commissioner
All
Vignolo. Commissioner Vignolo?
Ooh.
Every-
I just checked my calendar. Looks like I will be able to attend. I'll go ahead and purchase my ticket. And I assume we can all sit at one table. Does that make
But, you
sense?
know, we can buy a table of 8. Maybe that's what we should do. I don't know if there's any financial gain for that, but at least that would enable us to sit together.
It would be
How
nice. if
about
we-
I make a commitment to call the host and find out the best way to arrange the tickets, so we all get seated together to the best of our ability. So I've got 2 for flood, 1 for Viola, 2 for Shepherd, 1 for Bignolo. And how many for you, Edwin?
That'll be one for now.
Okay, and Commissioner Cleary, are you there? I'll
He
send
said,
you-
he says one. In the
He
chat,
said
it
one.
says one.
Oh, he said 1, okay. Okay, so 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. All right, perfect. That's 8. That makes a table of 8. So,
All right. So
So should we give you the money?
well,
Vice
wait till
Chair
I get back.
Shepherd?
I'll send you an email. I'll send you an email, and let you know what I find out.
Perfect.
thank you very much, Donna, for taking that. Sure,
You're all being supportive of this. I just really think it's.
the lead on that. Excellent. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Save me a dance.
Okay, so moving on with the agenda, very importantly, we have our Community Service Awards next month. And the event is taking place on Monday, February 13, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. at the council chamber, and the public will be invited. I want you all to know that it took a lot to get all the honorees contacted and for all the honorees to accept. There was one particular honoree that we can't discuss yet, but not responding. And so that's why this process was a little slow. However, every single honoree accepted the nomination. The city is going to make the public announcement of the honorees tomorrow. We have received confirmation from Amy Blighthill that that is going to go out tomorrow, and also a press announcement will go out to all the media, our local media. So starting tomorrow, social media and our local media outlets will start basically talking about the awards and the honorees. At that particular point, when this becomes public knowledge, then the honorees themselves can talk to other people about their nominations, and it's going to be a perfect opportunity for us to use our own social media and our network to finally talk about the nominees if we choose to do that. So that's really, really good. I also wanted to address a couple of questions with regard to the logistics for the event. Unlike last year when we did this online, this is finally going to be in person at the council chamber. As I mentioned, the public will be invited. The honorees will be bringing family and friends. So we're expecting to have a pretty packed event at the chamber. By all means, if you want to bring your significant others and some friends, just consider that it's going to be a very packed event. With regard to logistics, obviously we have some city council members that will be participating as well, and I'm still trying to figure it out, the order of comments and who's going to be speaking. I'll be providing opening remarks and welcoming everyone. Now we can say the names of the honorees, but the question was, whether you wanted to nominate yourselves to do the presentation of a particular honorees award, or if this was something that we were going to assign you as an assignment. I think that the best thing to do is for me to reach out with assignments tomorrow after this is made public. And I will ask each and every one of you to present one award. We have the presentation copy all ready to go. And I'm just gonna, I think at random, choose you to do an award presentation. So that makes it easy and it's not messy. I'm just gonna say, Commissioner Vignolo, please do the presentation for this honoree, and Commissioner Flood, please do the presentation for this honoree. I would like also to ask Lily, since we have 7 community awards, and right now we have 2, 4, 6, 7. commissioners in this particular commission, each one of us might will be asked to do one presentation. Okay, and
No,
Libby,
that's fine. I think I did a presentation last year as well. So
Perfect.
that's absolutely
So
fine.
so
I
each
will
one of
stutter
us.
though, quite badly. I am so bad at public speaking.
No,
Or
this
like
is fine.
reading and speaking. It doesn't come out well.
I'll assign the easiest of the readings to you, I promise.
I win.
But that's the way we're gonna go. I'm gonna assign each one of you one honoree. You'll make the presentation. The honoree is gonna have an opportunity to make some public comments and remarks accepting the award. We're gonna have media coverage, which is great. Another question was if we're gonna have some kind of music entertainment. Unfortunately, there's no budget for something like that. And that's something that would be nice to have, but we can't accommodate, unfortunately. And we also need to consider that we have city council members attending, so we have to allow them for comments as well. So that is that with the awards. I can tell you that every honoree was not expecting the nominations. Some of them were really surprised and thought that this was like, am I joking? But everyone was very excited to learn that they were nominated and that they would be accepting an award. Lily,
All I'm saying is if we need music, just get me a good Bluetooth speaker. And we can have music is what I'm just saying.
that could be an alternative for sure. Commissioner Vignola.
Will February 13, will this award ceremony be on community cable? And
So that's a good question. I don't know.
Available,
I
or-
presume that these events are recorded and then broadcasted by the city's TV channel on YouTube, right, Jay?
You muted.
That's correct. The only thing I would have to confirm is if it will be broadcast live.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you, Jay, for that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that event. Obviously, it's going to be our first in-person event, and hopefully moving forward, our upcoming meetings also can be taking place in person. So that's that for the Community Service Awards. We're ordering the plaques, by the way. Just before I forget, the plaques are being ordered as we speak. So that's happening. Planning topics and activities for next year. So I think we're in the right path of recognizing that there's much more that this commission can do with regards to community engagement, that we are being more active, reaching out to certain organizations and inserting ourselves as commissioners, learning about the organization, inviting them to join our public testimony and presenting just like Jacob did today, because this gives us an opportunity to really be involved in more with more community organizations. And so I know Commissioner Vignola already introduced us what he plans to do, and with regards to Queer Works, I talked about the Palm Springs Community Partnership with the regard with the homeless. I personally want to do more with Brothers of the Desert, which I think is another great organization that is doing phenomenal work. And I don't know if any of you have thought about doing more with particular organizations that you want to be inserted and do more with. And if that is the case, please share your updates. Donna, I know you had something you wanted to share. Yes.
I just wanted to tell you that I have an organization that approached me to see if they could offer help with our homeless issue. So I'm gonna be reaching out to you and your work with that and see if I can link the two organizations. They're an organization that funds blankets and food and all kinds of things. So I just want to let you know that help will be there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I look forward to that. Lily?
I don't remember specifics because it's been a little while, but I do remember that there was an organization or a person or whoever that was nominated for the award that for the community service awards, um that whether or not, I don't know if they're a current nominee or not, but I remember they were referred and that we did look over like their thing. Um and I do remember that we were talking about maybe getting in contact with those people.
Mhm.
And I do think they're involved with the school district, if I'm not mistaken. So when we can be a little bit more public about those people who were previously referred to us,
Yeah,
I think the education subcommittee should definitely start reaching out.
absolutely. And I remember exactly the organization, which we cannot name, but yes, we need to reach out, we need to be proactive, and that organization is young.
Yeah.
They cater to Black youth,
Mhm.
which is fantastic. And I think the commission should be engaged in learning more about what they're doing and what they're doing to help our Black youth, particularly our students.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
definitely, as soon as this is made public and who the honorees are tomorrow, we can have these conversations much more openly.
Right.
That's great. Any other commissioner comments on this? Okay, so with regard to next year, Commissioner Ramaran?
Yeah, I'm actually very much entrenched with a number of organizations, as I think some of you may already know. So yes, there would be, my engagement as a commissioner has already been installed in so many different ways. And just to give you a sense of like, one, Bayanihan Desert, that has, been involved with many civic engagements with the city of Palm Springs, including, work around redistricting and the census, as well as just community, engagement and, having meetings with the Filipino community in Palm Springs in particular. I've also been involved also with the Demuth Park organization. So which is very, again, loosely organized. It's not as, we have a very strong connection with Desert Highland, because Desert Highland Gateway was the first neighborhood organization and set the standard for, 1 PS. And I'm, those are sort of some of the aspirations that I know that my neighborhood, I'm based in Veterans Tract and which is now called Demuth Park. But those are the kind of neighborhoods or organizations that I'm hoping that we could get more engaged with. I'm also inserted with the National Alliance of Filipino Americans, and they've been doing lots of outreach at St. Teresa's in terms of medical outreach, not just to the Filipino community, but to folks who don't have access to medical care, including dental care. And more recently, I'm also involved with We Are One United, which is very much involved with District 1 and youth enrichment, as well as violence intervention in the District 1, which is our minority majority district. So I hope that gives you a sense of where I'm thinking. I know you asked this earlier. I just didn't want to go through that whole list right then and there, but I think I want you to know there are lots of things to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramaran. Any other comments, Commissioner Cleary? You have any comments?
No further comments. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you for that. With regard to the agenda items for our next meeting, so our next meeting is the community awards. But the next meeting following, which is the meeting in March, I think the most important item is us reaching through our city staff liaison to Amy Bleisel and to our city attorney. We really need their input on how we're gonna respond to all of this. It's important, and it's a priority that we must recognize. Do we have any other particular agenda items for March that I missed? So I think that's the most important agenda item that we must have for March. Great. We have an announcement for the 2023 homeless point in time count, which happens on Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. Jay, would you please give us an update on this?
Yes, if anyone is so inclined, there's, I think till the end of the day today, or maybe early tomorrow, you can sign up to participate in the 2023 homeless point in time count. It's great. You get to get up at early in the morning and be on the street at 5:30, conducting surveys with your team. And your team will include someone carrying these incentive bags that can be handed out to the homeless individuals. It can, you'll have people there kind of doing the driving, one person doing the spotting, kind of keeping the eyes out for locations where individuals might be. And so if you're available, it's an early morning event, as I mentioned, but there's still time to register, I believe, using the link I just posted into the chat. So
Into the chat. Mhm. So I encourage all of you to really look into this, and if you have the time, please consider getting engaged in something of this nature. It's really important work. Thank you for that, Jay. Agenda. I think that is the last item in the agenda for today. We're going to move to adjourn. Do I have a motion that we can move to adjourn? Okay, Donna's motion. Do I have a second? Commissioner Ramaran, thank you for that. Any comments on this? So thank you very much for today's meeting. We're going to adjourn. The commission will adjourn to an adjourn meeting on Monday, February 13, 2023, which is the commission community awards. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much and have a good night, everyone.